Thanks for watching Aquiva Keys. We're here to bring you all the actionable insights you need to know about Salesforce, the App Exchange, and beyond.
I mean, looking at what you've seen from Sapim already, I see the interest coming off across from the App Exchange and all of the different leads that get logged. So it's pretty impressive to see that much interest that fast logged in the system like that. Now, I don't know how many conversations you're having. Is the interest been pretty steady on your side too?
Yeah, so we have currently around 10 production environments using the app and a little bit more conversation with companies who are evaluating it because, for small or medium company, decision-making process is very easy. You can just grab a link and install it on your environment. For enterprise, there are like some cases when someone must to go to the security team, they're asking about our SOC 2 compliance and so on. So I won't be surprised if it's going to take another month or two before the installation happens, but we see like lots of interest currently in the market.
Wow, that's really fun. I don't think I've seen this side of a Salesforce product. I've always been in the product building side, and so you kind of get to see everything that goes into making it, and you don't get to see everything in that initial launch time. So if I go back to the very beginning, what on earth made you say, "Oh, I need to create this package, or I need to create this particular functionality"?
One of our senior architects from Aquiva Labs, Aiden, recently published a blog post at Salesforce Burn when he started that security is boring until something happened and then it's becoming exciting. And I believe we are exactly in this moment that Salesforce security had some loopholes, which for people who spent many years building different products and integrating systems were kind of obvious, but nobody was talking about this because nothing bad was really happening. So of course, like if someone came to PDO company to build their product, they were safe, but many companies just decided, yeah, we can Google the answer and build something, it's going to work. And this year, we've seen many security breaches, so more than 200 enterprise customers compromised with their data. And that was a moment when definitely this discussion popped up. And I just came with these questions from our customers. So, okay, what are out-of-the-box tools which we can use to protect ourselves? And the answer is nothing like that was really available at this time. So that was the main driver to build Sapim.
Okay. And I think that kind of hints at it because nothing was available. Kind of give me an idea of how that was impacting. You said there was some data compromised, there were challenges with this, but why would monitoring API calls either impact that problem or provide kind of insight into the problem?
Sure. We have a very good understanding thanks to Salesforce because after analysis of the security breaches, they published their summaries of what happened. And people think that security incident is like, I don't know, someone attacking you on the street and taking your wallet. That's not really the case. After the attacker get access token or some secret key to log into your Salesforce org, they are not going to exploit all your opportunities in the same day. Usually they're going to start by making some reconnaissance, log into the environment, check your data model. Then they are going to prepare their own scripts and so on. They are usually using different VPNs to change location and IPs. And looking on all this data, there are like some common patterns which can be easily detected. So from root cause analysis from Salesforce, we know that usually from the first entrance to the Salesforce org to the moment when everything was stolen, it was like a matter of weeks. And with a good monitoring, after the second day, you can just cut out the app which looks suspicious.
Got it. So there were actually breadcrumbs. So there was these indicators that this was going on, but they didn't have a way to easily analyze or see that data to be able to help themselves.
Theoretically, the only option is that you can every day, and that's going to be the worst job in the world, but you can every day log into your Salesforce org, download a huge CSV file with logs of all API-related activities, and try to figure out which of them are suspicious. Considering the fact that IP address is just a number, and you have no idea is it like from VPN or not, what country is it, and is it even a new IP, I think the truth is that it's not doable by just a single person, even with the good intentions to do it every day.
No, that sounds like, as you said, a truly horrible job. But was that literally what companies were having to do before something like this became available? Or
The honest answer is I believe nobody was really doing this. And that's exactly a reason why we have more than 200 of companies were compromised in the month, because like nobody was doing this. When someone found a way how to log into these environments, they were able to steal data from every org, which like authorized one connected app which was exposed. And of course, like it's a little bit problem which also we want to solve in Aquiva Labs. So we are not only providing the tool for API monitoring, but we are also making audits about the security configuration and so on. We have our system administrators who, thanks to this tooling, can on the monthly basis make sure that it's not after incident when you are starting to think about security, but you have the right configuration to avoid problems like that in the first place.
and I think that's a great thing to think about in all of this is that because I think SAPM stands for Simple API Monitoring, right?
Yes, exactly.
But to your point, and sure, there's AI and there's all kinds of additional technologies you can layer on top of it. But at its core, somebody has to look at the results, even if those results are presented more easily. And I think, as you're saying, the way you do that, whether it's Aquiva or any kind of enterprise, I would guess they'd have somebody whose job it is to kind of monitor the state of the org and look at the security configuration and see what may need to change or what may need to get adapted. Is that pretty common, or is that a rare thing that companies actually do?
I think currently the common pattern is that you have one system administrator who is extremely busy because you are getting different kind of support requests. Sometimes you must to make some customization, sometimes add the new fields. And theoretically, monitoring security is part of your job until it's urgent. Even if it's important, it's easy to just forget because you have thousands of different things on your head. And I have a feeling that at this moment, when we are talking about Salesforce org, which was created like 5-10 years ago, there is a huge chance that the list of the connected apps which still have open access to this org is going to be quite long. And even someone coming from a fresh eye to make like 1 week audit of your security situation can give you hints that, hey, that smells bad. And then another thing is to have someone monitoring it on a daily basis. So if something is happening, to catch it early.
Okay. So that kind of consistent review, that consistent monitoring is key. This then enables that. What if we stepped away from enterprise, right? Because the concept of an enterprise is a big Salesforce org that has lots of people accessing it, lots of API calls are getting made. The other area that I think Aquiva works with, and the other area where you've seen some adoption for SAPM has been around app exchange partners, right?
Of course. And that's even more interesting because when you think about this year, Salesforce set a very high expectations about how app exchange partners should act with all the security problems. And it's very easy for Salesforce to say that app exchange partners should monitor their APIs. But if there is nothing like that, and your partner business org is like literally a single place which can be used to log into all your customers' environments via separate console, that's a huge responsibility. And that makes perfectly sense that Salesforce demands partners to start taking care about this. But with SAPIM, we are giving them a real tool how they can start at least monitoring their main infrastructure without like spending lots of money on research and development. And potentially then if they want also have their customers in the context of OEM partners with their orgs, that even better because then the system is consistent and can like cross-check the problems in their usage.
And how were app exchange partners doing this without SAPM? What approach would they take?
I think the only alternative analysis is on your Salesforce partner business org to do it manually from this downloading everyday CSV files. And on top of this, you can of course monitor your own APIs, but that would require you to build some custom solutions. So for every API coming to your system, make some logins at top of this and so on, which means some extra latency. APIs are going to be slower if you add extra layers, so there is like extra overhead with making it.
Okay. So not really an easy path. And to your point, for app exchange partners, it's really a network effect where they might have an app that touches lots and lots of orgs. They may have lots and lots of clients hitting their partner business org for various reasons. And those API calls are even more critical to be monitored then.
Jeff, because like for a single Salesforce org, I can imagine a situation when you have system administrators using to like SAP to open a dashboard and check something on the daily basis, right? But if you have like 50 or 100 orgs as OEM partner, there is no way to monitor all of them manually. And then like some notification system which detect problems for you and just send you one Slack message or one email is the only real way to keep it under the control.
Yep. No, it's funny because I think people have seen that pattern in other systems and other technology stacks. There have been tools created for that, and it's an interesting problem in the Salesforce world. And how going back to the beginning, then you recognize, you decide, hey, this is something that probably needs to be taken a look at. What was the biggest challenge you ran into trying to build SAPM?
The biggest challenge, I believe, was the fact that on average, we are talking about a huge number of API calls. So like hundreds of thousands logs per day, sometimes like 50 megabytes CSV files. Sometimes we have like more than 100 on midsize and customer org, right? So like processing this amount of data in Salesforce was just not doable. And that was a reason why we decided to establish our own AWS backend for this. So we are pulling these logs from Salesforce on the nightly basis, and then we are making all the calculations. So for example, we are calculating what is the normal healthy baseline of API calls per specific client or user per day. And we are doing it off platform. So thanks to this, like in the Salesforce, we don't consume lots of data storage, but also we can avoid the technical limitations.
Okay. So developing that approach to kind of avoid impacting those orgs, impacting those governor limits was the biggest challenge then. Okay. So do you have interesting features you're thinking about adding next, or is there anything that's now popped up and made you go, oh wow, look what we can do at this point?
So at this moment, we have like a few ideas, but the most exciting one which we are currently working on is behavioral anomaly detection, because like number of API calls which app is doing is like catching lots of problems, but also the problem can be if you, as the person who installed the app, didn't think too much about configuration and you just used your system administrator account. Today, your tool is starting just extracting all your opportunities, but use like a system, to maybe only solve contact data or something like that. So from this moment, when we define this behavioral pattern that accessing like new endpoints is smelly, that's also like a very strong indicator. And that's something what we are planning to add to our anomaly detection system early next year.
So you're talking about when I go and install an App Exchange app and it says, hey, do you want to install this uniquely for every user, different profile? And I choose, no, just install it as the system admin and give it full rights. All of a sudden now I've just opened up the door to letting it do whatever it wants to do.
Exactly. And it's a question, is Salesforce secure by design? I think if by design you have this button saying just install it as my user, and it's obvious that I'm a system administrator full right at the beginning, if you are aware of all these problems, you probably are not going to do this. But could we expect all these accidental admins to have this deep knowledge of security? I think not really. We should just either make the system secure by default or help them by providing tooling and educations how to avoid this kind of problems.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. With some of the folks that have already installed it and are using it, how has their experience been? How have they responded to the tool?
The experience is very positive. We already got five-star reviews on our App Exchange listing, which we really appreciate. And it's like lots of learning experience with every new installation, because usually on every org immediately you can spot something. Like for example, the old integration, which is like failing with every API call, but still like every night burning your limits. Or for example, the managed package, which we stopped paying 2 years ago, but it's still like contracting to your org on the nightly basis. And usually like from one day, immediately you are going to be curious and you can then start cleaning the problems which grow up in your org.
No, very nice. That's very nice. Well, the last thing I'll ask is for you in particular, what's the key thing that you learned out of the entire experience so far?
I think the biggest learning for me is the fact that it is possible to monitor this kind of things and strongly increase the security of the environment, because for quite a long time, frankly speaking, it was not possible at all. Salesforce introduced this free tier of event monitoring, I believe 2 or 3 years ago, and like many people, even certified architects as myself, are not aware of this, because for a long time, the only option was to pay for event monitoring. 10% of your net spend on license is like quite expensive. And now we have like a tool, we just need to figure out how from these raw logs get meaningful insights.
No, that's exciting, and I can't wait to see, given kind of this baseline of data that's being developed and captured now, what emerges, to your point, around what anomalies we might be able to track or what other events might be prevented. So very exciting. Thanks a ton for doing this. I know you carved some time out of your week to kind of think through all the different aspects of this, and look forward to seeing what you do next.
Pleasure, and thank you for the conversation.
You too, Jakob. Thank you. Have a great day.
So